Today, our featured presenter is author of the best-selling The Power Formula for LinkedIn Success. He helps individuals navigate the powerful but often confusing networking tool LinkedIn to achieve business and career success. He's been featured in Inc. and Forbes magazines and Fox Business. One thing you might not know about our presenter is that he's a certified public accountant. Today, he is here to share with us the most important LinkedIn profile strategies that help us get more found more often by the right people. Please give a warm DreamBank welcome to Wayne Breitbarth.
All right. Thanks, Jake. Well, hi, everybody. It's great to see you all. You know, you never know when you put these things on who you're going to have or how many you're going to have. And we're really excited about the attendance today, not just in the room, but boy, online. So we do say hi to all the folks online, and we appreciate you being on. And so this is an interesting topic. Yes, it's LinkedIn, and I've been doing this for 12 years, and I wrote a LinkedIn book. But this topic came out of a few years ago. Somebody said, hey, Wayne, can you do a short TED Talk type thing on LinkedIn? So I Googled TED Talk and all that, and 17 minutes or whatever it is, right? And I go, well, I don't know that I can do anything in 17 minutes. But I was going, what if I had to tell somebody, what have I learned in the 12 years I've been teaching LinkedIn? And what are sort of the things that people are missing? So the best of what's not happening, but could happen. That's the way I looked at it, right? I came up with the two things that I think people are not doing. And as I thought about the two things that people are not doing and thus not getting the results they want on LinkedIn, it dawned on me they were two things that my mother taught me or maybe yelled at me about. And I thought maybe that's why people aren't doing them. So the two things are this. Number one, you were taught not to brag. You were brought up not to gob all about yourself and say, I did this and I did that. And even to the extent the word I creeps you out a little bit. Like, you want me to use the word I on their profile? I don't like that, right? So the first concept is I think people are afraid of using their profile as a serious weapon for their career, for their business, and it results in, and I think it results because you don't like to really talk about how good you are and how you're different. And to me, that led back to the days with my mom. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, Mom always said, you don't talk to strangers. You just don't, right? Remember back when I was a kid, there was a campaign called the Stranger Danger Man. I don't know if it's the TV, I can't remember, I think it was, right? And Mom said, you don't talk to strangers. So I think the second problem that people are having on LinkedIn is they're keeping the network so tight to people that they've only met, or something like that. Instead of saying, hey, I go to networking events to meet new people. Why isn't this a virtual networking event if done professionally and done right? Okay. Part of the problem we have with the second one is that we see so many people doing it wrong. Sending you invitations that are totally, what? Who are you? You didn't say? You must be here to spam me, evidently. And so then we back off, right? Because we go, I don't want to be her. So we don't really know how to do that right. So that's the two things we're going to work on today. And the first part's about your profile. And the second part's about some LinkedIn activities. For meeting the not the danger man, but the strangers that we'd like to really build relationships with. Okay, so that's how we're going to drive into those two things. I got a bunch of great LinkedIn features I'm going to show you to do that, just that. And as I'm not a slide guy, for those who have seen me before, I'm a live LinkedIn guy. So I like to navigate LinkedIn, free LinkedIn. Okay, so everything I show you today is on free LinkedIn. And so I always hope and pray that something doesn't happen in California and we lose the connection, because then I can do a song and dance that you won't believe. It's happened one time. So let's talk about the profile and why I think people are not using it right, and they haven't thought about maybe saying a little bit more and being a little more positive about who they are, what they do, what they've accomplished, and how they should either hire you or do business with you. Because that's usually what people want to use LinkedIn for. They just want to get hired, or they want to sell more, grow their business, right? And in both cases, I think people are just being very sort of cautious about that kind of situation, just saying, hey, we're the best, okay? We're just the best at this. And that statement sounds, well, that does a little bit off-putting. Well, say it some other way by your customer saying it, let's say, in a testimonial or things like that, right? So when it comes to LinkedIn profiles, here's what's missing under that subcategory. I don't think people are telling the stories right. Number one, you don't have enough keywords. Okay, you don't understand how the crazy search engine works. Every time somebody does a search on LinkedIn, I got a few searches queued up here. There's an order about these searches, right? In this case, there's 4,332 people on this list. Somebody's first and somebody's 4,322nd, right? And if you don't think about your profile as something you have to optimize with keywords, you're probably not going to end up very high in these searches. Just like a website. The cool thing about just like a website is it's typically the same words, especially if you're a business person trying to grow your business. That's where your words are typically the same as what you're trying to SEO your website. Now, for like somebody like a job seeker, what are the words that you try to optimize your profile with? Anybody know where you find the words if you're a job seeker? That could be a place, but there's even a better place. Think about who the job seeker's trying to appeal to. HR, recruiters, right? Yeah. Well, what do they do that should help you with your keywords? The job post, right? Yeah. I mean, think about the typical, let's say I'm a one-person HR person. Yeah, I'm the HR person at our company. That's pretty much what I do all day. Oh, really? So tell me about your job a little bit. Well, in the morning, I write job ads. Yeah, I put them some on Monster and some in MadisonJobs.com and put some on LinkedIn. But I am in charge of writing all the job ads. Okay? And then I take my lunch break, of course. And when I come back from lunch, then I look for people. And I search for people. And guess what words I use? The words I put in the ad in the morning. Of course, I'm the same person. It's not tricky. So get that. As a job seeker, the words it's not a treasure hunt. Like, where do I find them? They're in the job post. Okay? So businesses, it's all about, same as your website typically. And for job seekers, it's all about what words are people using in a job post. Because that's what the person's going to use to do a search on LinkedIn, okay? So one of the handouts I gave you, and I won't go into this one in details, but it's my number one handout, is keywords. And that's not really the storytelling part of LinkedIn. That's not the bragging part that I want to address today. But I never like to leave you without having this worksheet whenever I speak. Because this is where the keywords go. And the lines are, start thinking about your keywords if you haven't. And where do they go in the search engine like certain spots? Okay, search engine respects certain spots, and the 3 hot spots, as you'll see in this bullet pointed list, are your headline, your job titles, and your skill section. You can optimize those 3 spots. You will move up in searches, trust me. I work with clients where 20 minutes after an optimization session, I can get their salespeople to be fairly high on a list, or a job seeker fairly high on a list. Now, the keyword isn't the only thing that causes things to show up in this order. Other things come into play, like LinkedIn likes the fact that Jackie and I know each other, right? So, well, here's a person who met your criteria. She's your friend already, right? So that's a strategy to think about. That strategy, if part of the algorithm relates to relationships with people, guess who gets a help on that? The person has a bigger what? Bigger network, right? Bigger network people get a little push on that. What else comes into play? Groups comes into play. At least we think so. And these are all things that I've done over testing, not because LinkedIn gave me a nice little article that says, here's how you get to the top of a search. They're not going to tell us any of that stuff because it's their algorithm, it's magic, and they want to keep changing it. Okay? But so there are other things that come into play besides keywords, but this is the easiest thing you can do. Okay? This is the very easiest thing you can do, is work on your keyword optimization. Now let's get into the storytelling part, sort of the bragging, the lack of bragging situation on your profile. And I've got some nice profiles for you guys to write down. Write down the names of these folks. These are people who I've worked with one-on-one to optimize their profile. First person I want to introduce you to is Dale Wonders. Dale Wonders is a job seeker, so I'll point out some storytelling things that he's done on his profile. The next person I will introduce you to is Richard Mobley. He's a business coach and a consultant. And the third person I'll introduce you to is Tanya. Tanya Hall happens to work for Greenleaf Book Group, which is my publisher. She's the head publisher at Greenleaf Book Group. Those three people, I'm going to spin you through their profiles, pointing out some really cool ways about the way they brag about themselves. And you might want to start thinking about doing some of the similar things, okay? Okay, so I'm going to start with Dale. So Dale's currently a job seeker, and how does he maximize his profile in a way that his mother might say, you're talking too much about yourself, right? Well, take a look at this. This is his headline. What's your headline? Most people's headlines are this. I do 6 state consultations each week. Half of them are this. Current job title, current company. That's all it says underneath your face. Now, that's because that's LinkedIn's default. And if you've never done a headline the way you should do a headline, like Dale, LinkedIn grabs your title and your current company, puts it under your face so you got something there. So you don't embarrass yourself with a big white block right underneath your name and face, okay? That's usually a miss because it doesn't say much. What was your first name again? Michael. So Michael, what's your title? You own the joint?
No.
Sales? What is your?
Doctor of Discovery.
Doctor of Discovery?
That's right.
Wow. You told me you were a sales guy. I like. So he's Doctor of Discovery at Peterson Technology Group, right? If he never fixed his profile, LinkedIn's going to grab Doctor of Discovery and Peterson Technology Group, shove it under his face, and the rest of you in the room are going to go, huh? Well, something to do with technology. I got that much. It's a miss. It's a total miss. You know what Dale does? You know the kind of job Dale's looking for? Pretty simple, right? And he's loaded a bunch of titles in there, a couple of skills that he has. Search engine loves that. HR people love that. He shows up higher in searches, but he has complete descriptiveness. Now, your headline's a little tricky. I'm going to give you an inside hack. Headline, if you do it on your desktop, is that much. But here's a bonus for you. You can get an extra line and a half if the extra line and a half is built through the LinkedIn mobile app on an Apple device, sometimes on an Android device. So you can get a fourth line of headline. Now think about it. Is headline important on an article you read? Of course. You get more headline if you use this little hack, okay? And if you don't have an Apple device, find your kid, granddaughter. They got apples that help you just fine, okay? But you want more space in your headline because the headline also does travel around with you on LinkedIn, doesn't it? Headline shows up underneath you when you go to a group discussion or you post or whatever. So build out your headline. Don't be afraid to say, #1 seller, largest technology thing in Madison. You can use part of your headline for nice keywords, but you can also use headline to tell a really good story. Especially if you know you got 3, almost 4 lines, a little over into the 4th line, right? You might have thought you ran out of space. How could I say that nice little sentence, Wayne? Well, there's more room. Now, how long that hack will be around? It's been over 3 years. So I'm hoping and praying LinkedIn. And why does that happen? I don't know. LinkedIn's a big place. That's all I can say. Okay, let's go. How about this background? So background's interesting too. Can there be a nice story behind the background? I personally like my own background pretty well. I think I've got good stuff going on my background where you can see I got a book, I basically got my tagline and my phone numbers and contact information. And man, you don't have to go any further on my profile. If you said, well, Wayne's a LinkedIn guy, and boom, 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 call me, we're ready to go. No connection request just to get my email address, none of that. Background does it all. So maybe your background should be a little better. People tend to, if you're not a design person yourself, the tool that gets used by people is called Canva. Canva.com. Free tool, helps you build backgrounds even if you're not a design person. Okay, so background could be a good storytelling part about what you're doing and how you're really good at something. Let's go back to Dale's. Let's look at some other stuff going on. Let's look at this entry. This is an interesting entry because Dale took my advice on his recommendations. So Dale's got 10 recommendations. LinkedIn shows 2 of those recommendations, only the last 2. Guess where the other 8 are? Probably not to be seen. Yeah. Right? LinkedIn loves this squishing, see more thing. I hate it. I hate it because it typically causes the reader to have to do one more push to look at stuff, and they just scan and move pretty quick, right? Well, what Dale did with my advice, I said, Dale, why don't you go through your 10 recommendations and tie them right in to the job entry that it relates to. Cut and paste it up in the job entry. And that's what he did. Look. He went to each of these job entries, and yes, they're down there buried, but they're right here too. Now, is that being braggy? I don't know. I think it's sort of cool. You think HR people love it. HR people love recommendations because it's the only thing on their profile, what? That you didn't write. Okay? So that's a way, and you could do the same thing with your business. So what I've got on my profile is I've got loads of these. I got written testimonials and video testimonials. Let me show you how it looks. So under this entry, I've got these quotes that start off this entry. And then under this entry, let's see, let me show you my video testimonials I have here. I have these video testimonials under this entry. Now somebody says, Wayne, you got all those videos talking about you. Yeah, I do. Because I think that when people are deciding whether they want to hire me for a LinkedIn trainer, they need to have other people confirm that it's a good decision. And tell them what they thought was good and how their people really learned and grew from it. Right? So written testimonials work, video testimonials work really super. And think about what we don't have to have with video testimonials anymore. We don't need that guy in the back of the room. We'd love to have him, but he's not cheap because he's really good, okay? But we don't need that anymore. What do we got? Right here, we got our phones. And that's what I'll do. Somebody's driving me to the airport and they go, wait, everybody just loved your presentation. They were already using LinkedIn before you even left the place. Great. Thanks for sharing that. We get out of the car, pull out my bag out of the trunk, and I said, could you just tell me again what you said? And I put the phone right in front, and I just asked her permission first. I said, I'd love you to just talk about that on video. And I like when they're nervous and it's jiggly a little bit, right? Because that's real. It's not like today where I have makeup. No, I don't. But where usually the video stuff is all done and prepared and there's a script and somebody hands it to the client and says, read it just like this. It's raw. It's gut level. He was really good. Same thing could be for you guys in your business, okay? All right. Let's see how we're doing here. Okay. So that's an idea. Use the entries to highlight, to have people say what you do. Now, here's an opportunity a lot of people miss. If you've got multiple things, and I'm going to go to Richard's for that. I'm going to start with Richard's. When I started working with Richard, he had one entry for his consulting, training, everything in his world was one job entry. And I said, boy, Richard, when you've explained to me what you do, I don't think that's one job entry. I said, I think you've got multiple things going on that you need extra space on that profile for those other, and I like to say revenue sources, right? Do you have multiple things that don't usually tie together under, oh, she's a speaker. Well, speaker, author could be different. Podcast host could be different. Those could all be separate entries, still tied to the same company page, but where you could have separate videos for that, separate title for that. So if you're like Richard, sort of an independent person, consultant like myself, think about, and that's what he's got going on. He's got these couple of things going on under 4-7 Group, which is his company, and then he leads this big event in Birmingham where he's in charge of that. Separate revenue source, separate occupation, right? Multiple things. Let's look at Tanya's for a second. So Tanya leads Greenleaf as the CEO, but she's also a podcast host and an author. So what that allows her to do is have these videos and a full description under each one of those. The beautiful thing about LinkedIn is they don't tell you what to do. You can do whatever you want. So when I sit down and consult with people, when it comes to their business, I can usually say, I think you need 2 job entries. I had a guy the other day, his family owns these large, what do they call them? Big radar things to pick up on the internet, right? They big dishes, right? And his family's owned it for 25 years. On his profile it said president and owner of the big dish company, right? We have signals for people all over the world, blah, blah, blah. And he said, but you know what, Wayne? People don't know me as the industry expert I am. I said, well, it doesn't say it on your profile. He said, well, how would I do that? He says, I get to be on the panels at the conferences all the time. I've written some blog posts for some of the industry stuff. I said, well, why don't you have a second job entry underneath your regular business and says, satellite industry expert. That's your title. And he pushed back a little bit like, oh. I said, he pushed back like mom yelled at him, right? And I said, why did you push back a little bit? Well, the word expert. I said, well, you just told me you were, right? You want to be an expert. You don't want to put it in black and white. I said, come on, man. I said, you got to feel comfortable about that because when you tell me about all the panels, you are. You know what? I heard somebody when I did this presentation the first time, they kept saying, you know what you should use, Wayne? It ain't bragging if it's true. Right? And it's right. If it's true, it's not bragging. And it was true in this guy's case. So we put a second entry, satellite industry expert. And then what we did, we put a couple of the videos from YouTube that were out there, and we said something like this. From time to time, I'm honored to be asked by industry associations to either write or speak at their events. Some of the events I've spoke at are the following. My topic is this, right? And then he put this last line. I like this last line. If your industry association would like to have me speak, let me know. So he left a little call to action at the bottom. And might get some calls because he put it out there. Otherwise, it's buried in the fact that in his family business, he said, and once in a while I get to speak. It's not a once in a while. You're an industry expert. You ought to hang it out there. And I even told him to put it in his headline. And he cringed a little bit on that one. And I said, don't cringe. Be proud of that. Because that's why you called me in the first place. You said, you want your profile to look better so people see you as an expert. I'm helping you, man. Okay, so think about, maybe there's some creative ways for you to put separate. I've had employees in companies, catch this, employee in a company who often gets asked to be involved in some of the industry things, put a separate job entry other than their regular job, still point it to their company page and talk about that. And when I suggest that to people, I say, do you think you have to ask your employer? Right? Well, say, it's my profile. I said, well, you could clear it with your boss if you wanted to, but what do you think your boss would think? We want to have experts in our place, right? It's different than 30 years ago where everybody was so worried about everybody quitting and stealing and people and all this stuff. And we're past that now. Now, some business owners aren't quite past that yet. But in general, we're recognizing as thought leadership within an organization as important. And we need to have some thought leaders in our organization that people can look to. Yes, ma'am.
So when you have your job references and they call your boss, ask for a reference, and it doesn't quite match up with what you've put on your description, like you've elaborated more than what your boss might be.
So she asked about references. She asked about references that if somebody's call, why would they call your boss unless you're looking for work?
Okay.
So we better remember this, right? Some things you best be a little careful, right? You better assume that if you're putting on your profile, everybody's going to see it, including your boss, right? And so if you think that's going to ruffle a few feathers and give you a meeting in the HR department, then I just would not do that. Till the day after I got fired, then maybe I'd tune her up and get her cooking, right? So we have to be careful with this. Not everybody is in the world of, well, it's okay, right? Just got to think about objectives and, people have to run businesses and you're part of that business, right? So I'm going to close this part, this sort of storytelling, bragging part, with just sort of what we did in my encouragement to you. So my encouragement is, and this is the way you should test it. You can test if your profile's good enough. I get that call all the time, like, Wayne, I might like a consultation with you, but what do you think? Is it good enough? And I'll say, well, first off, I'm probably not your target audience, but I can give you these suggestions. So notice what I just said. Profile's written for somebody or a group of people specifically. Job seekers, who's the target audience? HR people and recruiters, right? Business folks, like Peterson Consulting, they're looking to talk to business owners, probably CFOs, IT specialists, right? Target audience, right? Here's what I would ask you to do. To find out if your profile is good, ask some of your clients / HR folks that are friends of yours and say, if you looked at my profile and didn't know me, would you be encouraged to have a phone call with me? That's one way to test your profile. Go to somebody you trust that understands what you're trying to accomplish on LinkedIn and say, try to be objective. I want a critical critique. Because you buy my services or you might hire me. What do you think? Here's the other thing. Find about 5 people in your space that you compete with. It could be compete for a job. It could be compete for the IT services. So basically, you're finding the people that you wish didn't exist, right? I wish you weren't around here. You seem to beat me on the proposal every time. Find their profiles. Print them. Print yours. Put it on a table. Go home for the weekend. Come in on Monday with your customer hat on. And the first thing I want you to do is go through and read those 6 or 7 or 8 profiles, which include yours, and say to yourself, would you pick you? Would you pick you? And if you don't say for sure that that the other profiles look better, got some work to do. Because that's what's happening every day of the week as people are doing searches on LinkedIn. They're finding people who do the same kinds of things, and they're looking at profiles and going, I think she looks the best. Well, do you think you look the best in the space against your competition? I do that all the time. And by the way, I do that anonymously. I have on my calendar every other month, go look at these 6 LinkedIn trainers. They think they're as good as me. But I look at their profiles. I change my setting to anonymous, which you can, by the way, when you stalk people, go into your settings. You can turn off so they don't know you're there. And I look at all 6 of those profiles. I go, I'm good to go yet. Or, boy, she's got this new little service that she's doing, I see on her profile. That might be an idea for me. Or she's got these new recommendations. Darn it, right? The beautiful thing about LinkedIn is a lot of this stuff is just out there, right? So you can pretend you're a customer. And see put it on your calendar, do that every few months. Because the world will change too. People will come to Wayne's training and they'll get better than you, right? They'll decide to amp it up, and the next thing you know, you thought you were good last month, and they look better than you now, okay? It's an ongoing process. Okay, so that's the bragging part. My encouragement to you is, hey, let her all hang out, right? If I sat down with you at a meeting and said, tell me about yourself and why I should hire you, or tell me about yourself and why I should hire you for IT services, you would not be short on words, pretty sure. Do it here, okay? Mom's not going to yell at you anymore. Mom's not going to yell at you anymore. Funny thing about that, mom's not going to yell at you anymore, is this. Showed my mom my profile about 6 years ago. I was doing LinkedIn training for about 3 years at that point. She was 76. I said, Mom, you ever look at my LinkedIn profile? No, I'm not on LinkedIn. I said, well, let's take a peek at it. So I pulled my computer up. I'm showing my mom my profile. I see her face start scrunching. I said, what's the matter, Ma? Don't like my profile, do you? She said, no, I don't like your profile at all. I said, how come? You're too braggy now. That's what she said. She said, you're too braggy now. Just like from the old days. She pulled back and said, you're too braggy. I said, Ma, here's the deal. If I don't look as good or better than the rest of the LinkedIn trainers and talk about the recommendations I have and how well my book's done and all that phone's not going to ring. And I pointed to her phone. And I can't pay for the fish fry tonight. That's like, I can't pay for the fish fry tonight. And then she understood. But see, because she's not in this marketplace with these new tools and putting things out there, she was in the role of you're too braggy now. Okay, so I encourage you, push yourself. Try to find a friend that might help you push. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes you need a friend to go, why do you like me? Or a client, why do you like me? What are the things you tell your other people about me? Okay, we're going to shift gears now to the activities, okay? What are some of the activities? We're moving away from the bragging problem into the I don't talk to stranger problem, okay? 650 million people are on LinkedIn. 650 million people. Very good chance the people you want more of in your life are on LinkedIn. And that's where it starts. It starts with you saying, boy, if I could fill a room of people that are like this, I think I could do pretty well today. And for a job seeker, what's that? It's a room full of hiring managers at the companies you want to work for. That could be a room full. For our IT friend up here, it could be a room full of people that own businesses the exact right size that he likes and currently have all their IT done inside. And he knows he does a better job by doing it on the outside and being an independent person helping them with their IT, right? Okay, how do we find these people? What are the techniques? I'm going to show you 5 or 6 techniques. I think you're going to love these. Let's start with this one. And I've got a worksheet for this on it. Pull out this worksheet. A step-by-step guide to getting referrals on LinkedIn. Step-by-step guide for getting referrals on LinkedIn. So think about the essence of LinkedIn is this. It's a database of what? People, right? It's a database of people. It's basically resumes on steroids in this big database, and we can find people because of the way they've used certain words on the profile or certain school and companies and all, cities, all that stuff, right? That's what it is. It's a database of people. That was the first thing. When I went from LinkedIn is stupid, and I was that way for a long time, several years of people telling me, you got to be on LinkedIn, Wayne. And I said, I don't got to do anything. Don't talk to me that way. Only my wife gets away with that. I'm not doing your stupid LinkedIn. I had people bothering me night and day about LinkedIn because they knew my business was struggling and I was complaining and whining a lot. Well, I went from I'm not doing LinkedIn, it's stupid, to, oh my gosh, where has this database been my whole life? And it was only 60 million at the time. It's 650 million now. That was the first thing that I thought, oh, this thing could be real. My buddy who was bothering me might be right. The second thing I saw and had in my aha moment when I said, I think this thing's real, is when you could see who your friends knew. And that's the first, second, third degree thing going on LinkedIn, right? Kevin Bacon, right? When I saw you could see who your friends know, second degree, and who friends, third degree, and that's not as good as the second degree because it shows you the direct chain. But when I said, oh my gosh, I've been in Milwaukee my whole career, I know tons of people, but I don't know who they know. This smells good to me, okay? And when I think about that concept of friends can help you meet friends, or I think of the word referrals, right? I think of the word referrals. I think it's the essence of LinkedIn, the fact that we can do that. And I think that's what makes LinkedIn so much different than, let's say, Facebook. Because Facebook doesn't give us the direct route to people like on LinkedIn, like LinkedIn does. It doesn't have all the keywords, the work keywords and stuff like that. But it doesn't give you that direct route. So this tool, I'm showing it number 1 in case you fall asleep or have to leave for the rest of the way, because I think it's the number 1 thing you should be doing. And it's basically this. If you're going to meet with friends, clients, networking folks to help you find work, you should be preparing for that meeting using LinkedIn, not just pulling their profile. That's a great idea. You should do that. Look at their profile, figure out what's going on. But you should also dig into their network a little bit before that meeting. Because you need to find the people that they know that they could maybe help you meet. Could never do that before. So how do we do that on LinkedIn? And it's all laid out in this worksheet. You click search for people. Put your cursor in the search box, click people, and then you notice this white toolbar just showed up. Wasn't there before. Then you click all filters. Now, how many people have ever seen this page? Okay, about a third. LinkedIn's been around 16 years and only a third of the people know how to get to the advanced filters. Okay, so for those who didn't raise your hand, you're going to think you had to pay for this. No, this is free LinkedIn. I told you it's free LinkedIn. But was it easy to get to? No, that wasn't intuitive, right? Click, click. That's the trouble with LinkedIn. It's not intuitive. I hate that part, and I love that part. I hate it because I'm an old guy who don't like change and want to make things easy. But I love it because when you're confused, guess who you need? My wife reminds me often, she'll say, don't complain about that change, because I will. She helps me write all these things in my blog and the book, and I'll complain about changes. She'll, listen, change is good. Change, she calls it manna from heaven. Right. She said, change is manna from heaven. If it never changed, they don't need you. So I said, you're right, honey. I'll go to my room and figure it out. Figure it out and try to help everybody. Okay, so here's the way we're going to do this referral thing. You're going to love this. So let's say I'm at a meeting with Jake. So Jake introduced me. He's in charge of, he's one of the guys in charge of the DreamBank. And Jake and I are connected. You put your friend's name in there or your client. And then let's say I want to find out who Jake knows in the Madison area who's involved in marketing, because then maybe I can do some LinkedIn training for the companies. So I'm going to drop Madison in. Bless you. And then I'm going to come down here and in the title, I'm going to drop in the word marketing. Now, I think I'm going to expand past marketing and put communications. Now, when you put multiple words in any boxes on LinkedIn, you have to follow Boolean search logic. Anybody can help me with that? What's Boolean search logic? Words like or, what else? And, not. Or and not. If you don't capitalize the or, guess what LinkedIn thinks the or is? It's in their job title. It's the vice president of or something. I don't know. So you got to help LinkedIn with those three terms. It's not hard. Don't let it blow you away. It's not a big deal. But it's the way you got to figure out the Boolean search logic. So I'm going to do marketing or communications in the Madison area, people that Jake knows. 28 people come up. Now think of what just took place. And that didn't take me, boom, right? It's like I walked into Jake's office. We're going to have lunch today, right? And we got a meeting at noon, and I'm going to prepare for my meeting. And I walk into his office, and he's on the phone, and I go, I won't bother you. Can I just have your Rolodex? Rolodex. Now, for some people who are young, you don't know what that means, right? Google it. Can I just slide your Rolodex over here? I'll be real quiet. And he slides his Rolodex over to me, and I click. I'm looking for marketing people in Madison. Click, click. It'll take me, I'm here 2 hours early because this is a slow process, right? Click, click, click. I find the names, so I'm prepared for the lunch to say, hey, Jake, there's some people in your network I'd love to chat about, that I'd like to really get a hold of and talk to about LinkedIn training. That's my goal, right? My goal is to have him help me meet some folks, but not ask the general question at the end of my meeting like, well, Jake, you're a pretty well networked guy. Anybody I should talk to in your network? You know, I just love referrals. And that's the way we did it in the old days, because we didn't have LinkedIn, because the click, click, click would have taken us too long. And he didn't want you sitting in his office clicking through his Rolodex. Hello? Should you ever go to a networking meeting without doing this? There's no way. If somebody knows you, loves you, cares about you, and would help you for whatever, you ought to do this. Okay, so what do we do next? Go through this list. I would not bring all 26 names. Too many. I'd bring 6 to 10 or 12. I'd put them on a piece of paper. I find the best 6 or 10 or 12, I can get to the other ones next meeting with them, right? And I'd have the nice meeting, and if it's a client, I'd say, man, I'll tell you what, you've been a great client. I have so much fun working with you. I hope our people are serving you. If they're not, blah, blah, blah. And you say, and in the past, you've been a good referral source for me. And I thank you for that. My family thanks you for that. It's kind of you. I found these folks in your network. Oh, who? Hand a piece of paper to them. I've just got 3 quick questions to ask you about these people. It won't take very long. That's on the back side of your worksheet. Backside of worksheet has the exact words to ask. See that? I'm to the point now on LinkedIn where people are going, Wayne, can you just give me the exact words? Well, I'm giving you the exact words on page 2, okay? Show you how to do the search, and then I got the exact words. So what do you ask your friend? Question number 1. They got the list in front of them. You know all these folks? No. Okay, good. Cross out the ones you don't, because I'm going to look pretty foolish if I send them a LinkedIn connection request or call them on the phone and I mention your name and you don't even know them. I look like a real spammer, don't I? Yes, I do. We get that all the time on LinkedIn. We think it's a yuck. Don't be a yuck. First question is cross them out, no problem. Second question, anybody on this list you think I shouldn't talk to that wouldn't be interested in hearing about what I do? Or for a job seeker, anybody on this list you think that wouldn't be interested in networking with me to maybe help me get a little bit of push on my job search? And you might get things like this, Wayne, this guy is so busy, cross him out. He's not a networker, Wayne. Nice guy, if you ran into him, he'd be fine, but he doesn't do these kinds of things. Or they're not hiring. Forget that one, right? So cross out the ones that your friend might have some insights to say, don't bother with this one. So then you got so many left, right? Third question for everybody that's left is, can I use your name when I reach out to these folks? Would that be okay? Can I have your permission to use your name when I reach out to these folks? Now notice I said reach out, not link in. I may send a connection request. I may not. I may use the telephone. I may use an email if I can find it. I might drop something off. LinkedIn might be the thing you do next, but maybe not. Okay, whoever's left, you usually get a yes for that. And some of your friends at that point will say, Wayne, you just want me to introduce you to them? And you go, you are the best. You're going to do that for me? I didn't want to ask that because I know you're busy. No, I'll do that. These are my friends. You two are my friends. Why wouldn't I want you to meet each other? I'll take care of that. And you go, yes. Those are the friends you like. You don't dislike the other friends, but that friend is helping you a ton. But if they don't do that, you just thank them for the information, and you throw one more sentence at them. If I get stuck, if they don't respond to me, you mind if I swing back and just strategize with you on what I might want to do, could do next, right? So then you're warning them you might come back. But you're going to try to run with it without bothering because they're busy. Okay, then what do you do next? Let's say I get A-OK from Jake for Brooke. I hit connect. And then I never, ever, ever, now let's all agree to this. Let's all put our hands up like the Boy Scouts. Everyone put your hands up. I promise I will never send an invitation on LinkedIn to a total stranger without writing a note. Okay? That's the promise I want you to make from this point forward because it's so spammy and it's so silly. Isn't it? It just screams you don't know what you're doing, and it just screams, I'm going to meet with you. You didn't even, But LinkedIn doesn't help us, do they? Because some of the buttons go automatically out, including your telephone. So on the telephone, you can do it. Be careful. Don't hit connect. Hit the three dots. A menu comes up. One of the choices is send a personalized invitation. From tools like People You May Know, that button's dangerous. So the safest thing to do, if you kept the oath is we're never going to do this again, is wherever you see a person, always click through to their profile, then hit connect, and you'll always get these choices. Now, if they're third degree, here's the deal on third degree. There'll be no connect button. There'll be a message button. You can connect with them. LinkedIn puts the message button just because they want you to get your credit card out and be fooled by something. The connect button is sitting under the three little dots. Then a menu comes up. One of the choices is connect, and then you go right here. Why do they hide it? Well, that's how they get people to be fooled and get the credit card out and do premium, okay? All right, so here's what the note would say. Ready? Well, I'll tell you what. I'll say it, but pull this out. LinkedIn communication template. I got these worksheets for you today. It's amazing I can make a living when I hand out all this stuff for free, isn't it? Believe me, when I take these things to events, my wife says, you want to really give them all that stuff? You do consultations after all. I said, I know, honey, but I'm going to really hit them today. We're going to give them good stuff. They'll sign up for consultations. Don't worry, honey. We'll be good. We'll be good. Okay, so here's what I would say in this case. And on this worksheet, you'll see some examples of nice written connection requests on the first page. We'll get to the second page in a second. But my note would say something like this. Hi, Brooke. Just had a meeting with Jake. He suggested I connect with you. He also thought you might want to hear about the link training that I've done for his company and how well it turned out. If you'd like to chat about this, let me know. In the meantime, I'd be honored to have you join my LinkedIn network. Let me say it again. Hi, Brooke. Just met with your friend, Jake. You can put that. Your friend, Jake. And he suggested I connect with you. He also thought you might want to hear about how I helped this company. If you'd like to chat about this, let me know. In the meantime, I'd be honored. Now, notice what that note does. It says, I'm just doing what your friend told me to do. I'm not, he told me I'm just following through like I'm supposed to because he's your buddy after all. Instead of pushing the button, send now, you're going nowhere. So you want to use that invitation. The 300 characters, and that's all you get, right? You can't go on and send them websites and I'm the best and all this. Tone back a little bit on the connection request. But you got to give them enough so that they want to keep moving and say yes. Now, if they don't say yes, guess what at least you probably got out of that interaction? You probably got them to look at your what? Not a total miss, is it? Because if somebody looks at your profile, I call that a marketing event. When a decision maker looks at your stuff, it's a marketing event. That's a good thing. Now, I hope they do the connection request because then on the flip side, I want to send them a nice thank you note and try to set up the appointment. And maybe then I'd send my website. Maybe I'd send some testimonials, some written testimonials, maybe some videos, maybe a worksheet or a tip sheet that I have that I think would be good for them. So that use the thank you note, which is just a message to a connection. Follow up with that thank you note, send them some more stuff, ask for the appointment. You're not going to be 10 for 10, okay, my friends? Even after that 2 nice notes, you won't get 10 appointments out of 10 invitations. It don't work that way. They may not be ready to change their IT provider, but you're now in their network, right? And they now know who you are, they know who your company is, and you're on their list. They would have never accepted in the first place unless someday they wanted to go, I need extra IT guys because my guy ain't so good. Okay? So this referral step, home run. I want to show you a few other ways to meet strangers. Okay? Meet strangers and do it the right way. It's a university search. So watch this. Here's the University of Wisconsin page. How did I get to this page? I either clicked on the University of Wisconsin-Madison on somebody's profile, or I simply typed it in the toolbar and clicked the name of the school. This is the school's page. Here's where the power of this page comes in. Alumni. 227,000 alums have, or current students have a LinkedIn profile. Let's say you're interested in the people in Madison, and your target market is computer science people. There's 2,925. Let's say you also want to put a keyword in, like, let's say SAP or something. I don't know. We'll see. 45 alums come up with those two filters and the word SAP, and here they are. Okay, so why is this such a good search? Because these people went to Madison and so did you. You can open the door usually with that alone. Hi, see you went to Madison, so did I. Notice by your profile that you do the following. We help companies do just that. Or for a job seeker, see you went to Madison, so did I. Notice you're in the IT department. That's what I do. I'm in transition. If you hear of any openings at your organization, would love to chat with you. You can tighten this list down by company name. Notice what LinkedIn gives us. Gives us a list of all the companies that meet this criteria in the order. And if you want to just see the people at Epic, you click on the Epic and there's 6 people from Epic. It's a home run. It's just a home run because the school thing can be a connecting point that we might not have to mess around with the referral and all that good stuff. Give it a try. It's just another technique to meet strangers on LinkedIn that aren't really strangers, because chances are if I threw a networking event, a real live networking event, and I filled the room up with people you'd like to meet from the school you went to, you would show up. I know you would. And you go, Wayne, that'll be easy. I'll shake a whole bunch of hands. It'll be a great night. They're here. And notice what word shows up under each of their names. Look at, what, everybody say it. What's the word in blue? Connect. Does it say leave me alone? Does it say I'm busy over here and you're, oh no, I don't forget. It says connect. I think that's an invitation, don't you? I'd like to, if LinkedIn said to Wayne, what would you change on LinkedIn? One thing I do, whenever a connect button shows up like this, I'd say something like this. I would instead of just connect, I'd say, Wayne, please connect. It drops your name in, says please. Then you, oh, sure. Oh, please. You said please, I'll do it. Look at it that way, my friends. They don't have to be on LinkedIn, and they don't have to have a connect button. They're here, they want to meet you. Make that assumption. Well, is that being a little more aggressive than you want to be? Then sit in the corner and wonder when people are going to call you because you got a LinkedIn profile. Because that's what happens. People think, I have a profile and nothing's happening. What are you doing besides having a profile? Well, am I supposed? Yeah, you're supposed to do some stuff like this. Alumni search is wonderful in so many different ways. Okay, let me show you another. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch away from connecting with people and finding strangers in that strategy. Hopefully we did a lot of stuff. But another way to communicate with strangers that Mom might not have liked is when you engage in people's content. Okay? LinkedIn's getting better and better at helping us find this content. They've come a long way. And there's a brand new tool, well, at least I think it's fairly new, that if you click search and you click content, a new filter bar shows up where you can search for content by something I posted, something my first degrees posted, the date, the industry of the person that wrote it, and the company that was written, that they work for. So you can now find content with filters. It's really cool. So how you got there? Let's all go through it again. Cursor in the search box. Instead of people this time, we're going to skip to content. And this brand new toolbar shows up with all filters. So we now can search for content. And the reason LinkedIn gives us first degree is because you might want to look at what your clients and your friends are already posting, but you may not want to use that because you'll find second and third degree content, and that's people you're not connected to, and you might like to be connected to, okay? All right. So what do you do once you find the content? Here's what you're going to do. And I got some content queued up here. You're going to go through the list of the content using the keywords that you think are important, or you could use a hashtag if you want. You don't have to. In this case, I did use a hashtag. And you engage in the content with the people that you think are interesting. So let's say you find, in your case, a CFO who's writing an article about saving money or something. And you don't know the CFO from Adam. You find this article, and you read the article, and you say, that was well written. I learned a few things about that article. I would not only hit like, I would do this. So this is Esther Althouse. So I'm not connected to Esther, right? So I'm not going to hit like because I didn't read it yet. But I'd say, great job on this article at Esther, Althouse. You got to, when her name comes up, the @ sign brings up sort of the directory of all the Esthers. Click. So say, great job on this article at Esther. And I might back off her first name if I know her. I might want to just have her first name. Sounds more. But it still has hyperlinked her name because of that @ sign and the grabbing feature. Now, then when you hit post, guess what happens? Her article now goes to who? Right. You just waltzed her into your network and said, hey, Esther, like your article. I like it so much, I'm going to waltz it into my network, and some people over there might like, and I'm using the word like's not right here, right? You know, other people might read it. My audience gets to see your stuff because I helped you by just making that comment. That's one thing that happens. Her name is a hyperlink to where? Her profile. So is Esther mad at you for doing this? Are you kidding? It's just the opposite. She's looking at your profile and going, why would this dude help me? Why is he doing this? So, and you're going to get a profile view, aren't you? You're going to get a profile view that never was instigated other than you did this to instigate the profile view. Okay? There's nothing wrong with these techniques. That's why they exist. For some of you, when I say these, you're creeping out a little. I don't know these people. That's the idea. Okay? This is a new world. The stranger danger man. Forget him. Tell your mom it's a new world. Okay, so the hyperlink takes place and you get it to the network. What's the other thing that takes place? What shows up in Esther's mailbox? Email box. A note that says what? Wayne Breitbarth just shared or made a comment on your update. There is no way she's going to not go to my profile, number one, and there's no way that she's not going to think highly of me, at least for that moment. Now, would it be a good time to call Esther? Maybe not the same minute, that's creepy, but I'll tell you what, do that 2 or 3 times on Esther's posts, and then do a cold call to Esther. You're old friends. First thing she'll ask you is, she'll say something probably like this: that was really kind of you to share my stuff. Well, it's good. Your stuff's good, and I thought my network should read it. Wow. By the way, need IT services? Right? Same with a job search. Job search. Here's what you ought to do in a job search. You ought to go look for the boss you're going to work for. Let's say you got a job. You applied for a job, right? IT manager. But you know you're going to report to the vice president of IT. You went into the company page. You looked for all the IT people. You found the boss. Or maybe you're not sure. You find 1 or 2 bosses that 1 or 2 could be your bosses. I'd look at things that they're posting or sharing or liking, especially if they posted it. And I would read that stuff, and if it's good stuff, I would engage in that post. Guess what you're going to get from that boss? You're going to get a profile view, aren't you? You're going to get a profile view ever before HR runs down the hall and says, I got the 15 you wanted. Here they are. And you go, okay, thanks. Thanks for doing your job, HR. That's what you should do. I appreciate that. But I got another person I want to talk to. Wait. Ooh, you got another person. We get all the people for you. It's what we do here at HR. Well, I found this lady who shared my stuff, and I looked at her profile, and she said she applied. In the little notes we had back and forth, she said, I just applied. By the way, I just applied for this job at your company. By the way. Well, the by the way isn't by the way. It was a strategy, wasn't it? And what's HR going to say? You can't interview 16. That's against the rules. No, they say, you're the boss. Go ahead. You want to have an extra interview? It's fine with me. And I'll tell you what, that technique for job seekers is a home run, because there's too many computers and too many ATS systems that are not helping you these days to get your resume and your LinkedIn profile to come out of that crazy computer. That you need to do certain things to sort of stand out and sort of work the thing the old-fashioned way, except we got tools like this. It's good old-fashioned networking, except now we got some extra tools like little @ signs and tools like LinkedIn. Okay? Mom wouldn't have liked this, right? Mom, because I don't know this person, right? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. It's 1 o'clock. I do want to answer questions. It's most fun for me all day is answering your questions. So I think of some questions. But let's just wrap up this. Let's wrap up this stranger danger part. Okay? Here's my challenge to you. And I missed 3 search things, by the way. 3 different kind of search things, that different search filters that you didn't even find because we ran out of time. But I challenge you this. Why don't you not go home on Friday, done with your work, until you've invited, let's say, a handful? Why don't you find a handful of people that you don't know, either using the university page, using content, using this referral thing? Why don't you invite 5 people that you've never met, but you've got a reason to invite them, and maybe it's a referral or the school thing, and give it a shot and see what happens. Try to reach out to 5 people, write nice invitations, write a nice thank you note. Now, you will not get 5 out of 5. Don't call me back and say, Wayne, only 2 connected with me. That's probably where you'll be. 2 out of 5. Doesn't mean the other 3 didn't see your profile. It just means those 3 don't want friends that they don't know. Okay, fine. It's a big list. We'll keep moving. But you'll get some to connect with you, and you'll start a relationship and some kind of back and forth, either today or somewhere down the road. So challenge yourself on that, because it's going to feel a little different than we're used to, but it isn't creepy, right? That word creepy comes up way too much on LinkedIn, and I go, listen, this is virtual networking now. If you want to call that creepy, this is how we do things, and we can do it efficiently in our jammies. I like that part. Doing a form of work in my jammies is a good thing.